Hello, everybody. I can't remember what you read. I can't remember what you bought. Oh, Dungeon Crawler Carl, right?
Book
no?
2.
Yeah. Okay. Is that the only thing you got?
No.
I don't remember anything that happened.
Okay, so last time we were together.
I don't know anything. Yeah.
In this capacity.
Right.
I had to finish the short story collection.
Oh. Right. Okay.
Can't remember his name now.
Starts with an H.
Yeah, I don't know. Anyway, so yeah, I finished him, and it was fine.
Oh, okay.
I don't feel poorer for having read it. You know, I have new outlooks on things, but it was fine.
Is your favorite story still probably the one that you told me about last time?
Yeah. If I were to tell you to read one, it would be that one.
Okay. Cool.
Mephisto
Cool.
in Onyx. That's what it was called.
How do you remember
I
that?
don't know. And then I got the second dungeon crawler. What was it called? Doomsday
Carl's Doomsday Scenario.
Doomsday Scenario. Yeah, that was it. It was good. Not as good as the first one, in my opinion, simply because I know what it is now.
Sure.
It's familiar.
Yeah.
It's like, I had a good time. You know, Princess Donut is doing her thing. So yeah, I really liked it. I will continue.
Oh, you will? Okay.
Yes.
Great. I learned that there are skulls,
The skulls. Yes.
on the spine.
Yes.
And that tells you what order they're in. Everybody told me that, and I was like, okay, great. Is that all you bought?
No, and then I got Isles of the Emberdark by Sanderson.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Did you read it?
I did.
Okay. Did you like it?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes,
great.
I really liked it. It had some fresh ideas, some fresh perspectives. There's two separate protagonists. One is a dragon, but she's locked in her human form because she's being punished.
Right, okay.
And then there's the primitive man who nobody thinks is very intelligent because they're a primitive planet, but he's in the way of those types of civilizations is very intelligent. You know?
Okay.
And the dragon character's crew on her spaceship are different kinds of aliens. Some of them really creepy. Yeah, I really liked it. I'd like to read more of his stuff. Yeah. And then, well, the same week that we had the gas outage, so we had no heat in the house.
Yeah.
We also had 2 days that week there was no power.
Right.
I read a lot. So I finished those like a couple of weeks ago. So now I am a little past the halfway mark on House of Leaves.
What?
Yes. And I have feelings.
Are you doing what the book wants you to do and you're going to the appendix every time?
No.
You're just reading it page by page?
Yes.
Okay. Have you gotten to any moments where you have to like look in the mirror or
No.
flip things upside down? Okay, you haven't
Oh,
gotten
I've
there.
gotten there.
You
I
didn't
won't do it. Hell no.
Okay.
That makes me angry.
Right. So I think when I originally told you about the book, I was telling you that like it's gonna make you frustrated, but like that is the point.
It's stupid.
Yes, it's very stupid, but like that's how they all feel as characters, and so it makes you feel frustrated and claustrophobic, and like you can't escape the evil, stupid book.
That's a choice. Yeah.
Wait, so it doesn't sound like you're having a good time.
I'm interested in the story,
Right.
but don't give me all this other shit that adds nothing to the story. Like it does nothing. It's
Yeah.
lists upon lists of lists just for the sake of, I don't know whether it was the author or the editor or the publisher or whatever. Look at me. I'm so edgy. Ooh. Nobody else does this. Ooh. I like the story.
Yeah.
The house. I even don't mind, I can't think of the name of the character. Like not the old man, not the old blind man, but the second person.
Johnny.
Thank
Yeah.
you. His perspective is interesting, sure. And the house itself and the report and all that.
Yeah.
Great. Just tell me what happened.
When I read it, I read it in different pieces. So I just read the Navidson record as it existed. And then I went back and read Johnny's, and then I went back and read Zampano's. And I was so enamored by the haunted house story of it all. I cried reading it. Like it was so impactful. Then I went back and read Johnny's, and then I was like so irritated by him. But I loved it. I loved the journey. So interesting. So you could just start reading the Navidson record and you'd get all of the information. Wow, I really didn't think you'd commit to it, but you're committed to it?
Oh, I'll finish it, yeah.
The thing is, the part that you're liking ends, though, far before the book ends. You're going to actually finish the book before you realize that it's over, because there's a huge chunk that's just footnotes of things you've already read.
That's all bullshit.
Yeah, that you're not going to care about.
I don't.
See, I cared, but it's okay. And I'm going to choose peace, but you don't care. Wow. Cool. I didn't think that's where this conversation was going. God damn, I can't believe you're reading House of Leaves.
Yeah.
That is wackadoodle. Do you know the buzzword prompts?
Oh, yes.
You do?
The cover has to have a border.
Yeah.
And the word is makes, maker, making.
I'm also adding made because I've noticed a lot of people are struggling. Okay. So if you guys want to do made, you are allowed. And I'm saying that also because I think I'm going to do that.
Yeah.
Yeah, because I tried out a couple books last night that I thought I was going to read for this challenge, and I don't like any of them.
Oh, I also saw you announced a book for the book club.
Yeah, the V.E. Schwab?
It was a V.E. Schwab, yes. Yeah. So when you're done with that book, I'd like to read that.
You can read it first, because I'm not going to read it for another, 3 weeks.
Cool. All right.
The sequel to this just got announced. This was, my favorite book of last year. It's like a fantasy competition thing.
Okay.
And it just got announced to come out next year. I'm very excited. I want to read that if you want it.
It sounds fun.
I feel like romantasy is probably a good place to find borders.
That's a border.
So many borders. The Captive and the First Blood Game.
How'd you lose a goblin in 10 days?
I have it off the library.
Still waiting for book 4 of that.
Has it even been announced? Like the title or anything?
No. Probably 2027, but in the meantime, she's publishing something else in between. Like, who does that?
I found a border.
That's definitely a border.
Okay, don't mind the air conditioning being loud. We can't live without it.
Can't.
We just went to this new place called Bagel Boys in downtown Kelowna. And she used to work at a bagel store. So she knows her bagels. It's so good. I've been seeing their ads and I was like, I have to go. And my favorite flavor of anything is dill. And they have a dill lemon cream cheese.
And you said it was...
It's like literally the best cream cheese I've ever had in my life.
I had honey pistachio.
I had a little taste. It was good.
Yeah.
And then I got the one to take home a jalapeno cheddar and a za'atar. I would have given the bagels like a 8 out of 10 and the cream cheese a 10.
Yeah. I got Assassin's Quest.
Book number 3.
Yes, because I figured I should probably read the third one before I forget what happened in 1 and 2. Because it's been a while since I read 1 and 2. So.
Yeah, and you've already started a couple other fantasy series since then.
Yep.
I also got the third book in a series. This is The Antiquarian's Object of Desire. The first book was The Ornithologist's Field Guide to Love, which I gave 5 stars. And then I read the sequel, Geographer something, and I thought it was fine. And everyone said that this one is fantastic. So I haven't committed to reading this for the border for sure, because I have another option at home. But maybe I will give you my first impressions. And then we have, let's call it a buddy read.
Yeah. Buddy read.
We've both read T. Kingfisher before. This one's called 9 Goblins. It's another one of those ones that she self-published or was indie published and now is being published again by Tor. And it just looks cute.
Yeah, looks fun. And it's not huge.
Yeah, it's just like a nice low stakes
I'm sorry.
fantasy.
That apparently drives some people crazy when I do that.
What?
And I don't know.
Do what? Wait, why would
I don't know.
Who, me?
No.
Them?
Yeah.
Nobody said anything. No, they did not.
Did so.
No, they did not.
They did.
I think I know what you're talking about. There was one comment where someone said, don't do this when you were folding it over. That's what they were talking about. You can do that. They love this.
You think?
Yeah, that's ASMR as hell. No, I know what you're talking about now. Because it was a book where you were like, holding it like that.
Was I?
Yeah. I remember. You're so funny. You read all your comments.
I see when you posted it and I go and I watch it.
Well, it's good because people like to give you book recommendations in there, so you should definitely read all of the comments. Oh my gosh, if anyone was ever mean to you in a comment, I would delete and block their ass. No one's ever said anything mean to us. When we come back for June, you will have read this, that, half of House of Leaves, and The Ending Writes Itself.
Yeah, because you're going to give me that to read first, so I have to read that so that you can have it back.
That's a big commitment.
I can do it.
Everyone leave your positive comments for Mama. We all believe in you.
All I need is another couple of days with no power.
That's That's the trick.
That's the trick.
Anyone in a reading slump, just shut off your power.
Right? Go. Turn the breaker off.
I always knew I was going to read Make Me Better for the Make prompt, which is why the Make Maker theme was chosen for the month of May. Because I knew this was coming out. I'm interested in it. Sarah Gailey is an author who I love and I hate. Like, I've had such a mixed feeling about all of their books. And this one, I was like, even though I know it sounds like we're getting into cult territory, which isn't always my thing, it's Sarah Gailey. It's narrated by Xe Sands, a narrator I love. But it doesn't come out until like the second or third week of May, and I decided to start doing my Buzzword videos at the very beginning of the month. So then I applied for an ARC from NetGalley, and I got it, and I started listening to the audiobook last night, and I had to give up on it. It felt like a DNF at like 10%, and I kept pushing. I got to 20%. I was like, I feel like maybe this is a little early. Maybe I should give it a little more time, 30%. The pitch sounds culty, but it specifically talks about a woman who goes to this retreat, who goes to this isolated location to find peace. And so I thought maybe it was a little more on the weird science-y side. But as far as I've gotten in the book, it is just a really traditional cult feeling story. It's not just her perspective. It's kind of weirdly written, perspective-wise. I think it's supposed to make you feel a little bit off kilter, and I wish that I was loving that. But we are in the cult. We are from a young seeming girl's perspective, talking about like preparing herself to be with the man. I thought that this book would maybe subvert some of the cult tropes, but it does just seem like a really traditional cult kind of story that I don't love, where a bunch of people are really enamored with the cult and it does good things, but it's ultimately bad. Maybe it's doing something a little bit different later. It feels kind of like Midsummer. I just don't like it. But that's okay because I always had this backup. I was like, just in case this one doesn't go well, The Sun and the Star Maker. I got this as a Libro FM ALC months ago. And I know that I have loved a Rachel Griffin, so this is an easy pick. I started listening to the audiobook last night, and it just feels very young and fairy tale-ish, and it's got a very youthful sounding narrator, and I just could not get into it. So I had to give up on that. Yeah, my only two options that I had. So I tried out so many other books last night because I was like, when we go to the bookstore, I'll just buy a physical copy of whatever audiobook grabbed my attention. Oh, I didn't write them all down, but I'll put all on the screen, all the ones that I did try out. I'll Make a Spectacle of You. Hated the audiobook narrator, so maybe the physical book would have worked, but it wasn't in stock. Fake It Till You Make It, I didn't like the writing. Whatever else happened, then I grabbed the audiobook of The 2000s Made Me Gay, which I saw on one of your storygraphs. And I've never heard of this before, but I really like media about media and pop culture. This is by Grace Perry, and the first chapter grabbed me right away, and I thought, this could be for me. And they had it at the library in the neighborhood we were already in. It felt like fate. In the intro, she talked about so many, we're the exact same age, and so many things that were a part of my childhood, a part of my formative years. The movies Garden State and Wedding Crashers. It talked about Will and Grace. It talked about real world road rules, The Challenge, Grey's Anatomy, and it just a little insight into what this is going to be about. It seems like maybe a collection of essays. Oh, and there's a unicorn. Nope, just a horse. Bookmark? Question mark? In here? Anyway, I just feel like I'm really gonna enjoy this. Disney Channel presents Sapphic Overtones. Blair Waldorf has notes on my sex life. I just think, oh yeah, it does say essays right on the front. Essays on pop culture, how these things relate to her upbringing and when she realized things about herself. And I just think this is gonna be a really good read. Not at all what I thought I was gonna be reading for this video. And maybe that's what makes things a little bit fun. I cannot oversell to you how much this book is for me. This is just for me. This is just for me. Like, I'm like about to gush over it and it's gonna sound like I'm recommending it, and I don't even think I am. I have connected with every single reference she's made up until this point, and I feel like maybe, but I won't know until I read more, and if there's ones that I don't connect with, that you have to have enjoyed all of these things in your formative years in order for it to connect to you the way it's connecting to me. You guys know how much I love The Challenge. The Challenge is like my thing. And I thought we were just gonna get like a paragraph. No, the entire first essay. Here's the thing. I've never heard anybody talk about The Challenge in my life unless I bring it up. So the fact that I found an author who I didn't even know when picking this up wrote an entire essay on the challenge just feels so crazy. Like Real World, I know lots of people watch Real World and the challenge has come from that. But the challenge specifically, and like watching all of the Real World road rules, and she even mentioned like Battle of the Sexes, which was hosted by, as she says, Johnny Mosley, a man with less charisma than a cardboard cutout of Johnny Mosley. I've never felt more seen, and I've realized I love a book that talks about media, but I see other people gush over learning more about The Thing, and I want to hear from people who watched The Thing. Like I remember my friend Megan read, what was it called, like Disney High last year, the year before, and it was everything she ever wanted in a book. I think it was like the behind the scenes and like what was really going on with like the actors and the production of all of her favorite Disney shows and movies. And I remember hearing her talk about that, and I was like, that's not something I would ever want to read, but I love seeing someone else love getting the insight that they want, and this is the type of insight that I want. I don't want the behind the scenes of the challenge. Like I don't care about that. I care about reading from someone who watched it at the same time as me and reacted in the same way as me. And she brings up so many interesting conversations that I just love being here. This is not an academic text, okay? She's not deep diving into gender essentialism, but she brings that up as a topic and how certain themes on shows and meeting certain characters or people on these reality shows like formed how we all think about ourselves or think about gender and sexuality. But it wasn't just that. It was that she had to explain to people who wouldn't have already watched the show how the challenge works, like how the entire show functions and how the voting system works and how each season has a different theme. And it was important because she was having all of these conversations and they would come into it, especially in the Battle of the Sexes where it was men versus women. And there was this whole discussion that she had just so well done, and about seeing her first embodiment of a lesbian on TV and like what that meant to her, but more like what it felt like in the moment and how that person, but also kind of character in this reality show world was handled. And then I was a little caught off guard because the next essay was about Harry Potter. And I feel strongly that we in this day and age don't need to keep J.K. Rowling in conversation. We don't need to keep her as being the current cultural zeitgeist. Like it's not benefiting anyone. If you're going to talk about that in a book, I think it has to be, from my opinion, something that if it's something that I would like to read, it needs to be a critique. It needs to be like exploring more than just Harry Potter meant so much to me, because that's not something, well, I connected with it in that it was a huge part of any millennial's childhood, but I didn't like it. I wasn't watching beyond like movie 2, I want to say, like, but I think that this is something that makes a lot of sense in a book like this. She's talking about Dumbledore as a character and how authors and how fans talk about characters outside of the work and who gets to decide the sexuality of characters and all of like the fan fiction-y things that happen outside of the actual thing. I liked what she was talking about as far as Dumbledore's gayness being seen as an LGBT victory by many people, and also seen as the author cashing in on something that she didn't necessarily have to back up or didn't feel important to represent in the actual books. It was only after the fact. And how powerful it would have been for Grace and many other people to have this wise gay figure in the movies and in the books. And so she did her due diligence and did include the fact that she doesn't support J.K. Rowling and her views, and includes things that she has said about the trans community and why that's harmful. So that was included. I feel like we could have expanded on it more, but for like a 15-page essay, okay. Then it pulled me right back in and had an essay about Mean Girls and Janice Ian, and the idea that this cultural phenomenon of Mean Girls, the way that it used lesbianism as a plot point and as an insult, and how this person went on an entire revenge mission for being accused of being a lesbian, and like what that meant to queer girls watching it. Then that spun off into a conversation about Lindsay Lohan, and I feel as though if you're not in my age range, if you are much younger, and she talks about this a lot in here too, that like younger people, they have so many role models. They have so many opportunities to find themselves in queer media and just in queer celebrity culture. And we didn't have that. Like there were very few examples. And so I feel like to my younger audience, Lindsay Lohan is like kind of a different entity than it is to a millennial, because for a lot of us, her and her relationship with Sam, what was it, Sam Ronson? I don't know too much about it, but I remember that was one of our first representations of a queer relationship, a woman in a queer relationship. And she talked about how that was seen and how everyone reacted to it and what it was to see this casual queer relationship that didn't have to have a label associated with it. And how so many of us were watching Lindsay Lohan spiral in the media, and her gayness was attached to her spiral, and just like what that did to so many of us in our like queer awakenings. We've talked about Gossip Girl, we've talked about Dawson's Creek, sex, consent. She's not just talking about queer relationships, like she's talking about Blair and Chuck and the reaction that we collectively had to this couple on screen, because she wanted to compare sex scenes and the different ways that like losing it was seen on TV, and how those relationships guided us and what we saw as being the right way or the wrong way to have sex or fall in love. Then a little Katy Perry, like this was a real moment in my 11th or 12th grade when Katy Perry came out with a song where she's talking about kissing a girl so casually. She's translating the lyrics for us. Like this is a really good time for me. If I don't think a book is perfect, can I still give it 5 stars? That is the concern right now for me. Like I am not rating memoirs anymore. And this is kind of a memoir. And so part of me just wants to leave it unrated, but part of me wants to give it 5 stars. But I'm not even done yet. I'm almost done. I literally have 15 pages left. But I also want to give it 4 stars because I think this book has some problems. Do I have to agree with everything that a book is saying in order to give it a 5? Like this is such a confounding situation. The part that I don't relate with is the speculation about identity. Like talking about Lindsay Lohan, she continues to talk about Lindsay Lohan as like a could have been queer icon, and her maybe like walking back her identity. And then it got into Taylor Swift, which is like something I don't relate to like the love of at all. Obviously that's not a queer icon. Like she has never identified as anything publicly. But from what I'm understanding is a lot of people sense queer overtones with her work and have assigned her a sexuality or speculate about her sexuality a lot. And I think that the author is not saying anything objectively wrong, but is towing the line a little bit with a conversation about queer baiting. And I just don't think that that's a valid conversation to have about like the real life people. And I wish we were sticking just to media conversations. There is a lot of queer media that came out at this time that she's not touching on. And I think that some people might go into this hoping for like an all-encompassing idea of queer culture in the 2000s. And that's not what this is. Being who she was and with the upbringing that she had and being suppressing so much, it was like engaging with what she assumed was going to be queer. Like she wouldn't even touch anything like that. So when I'm thinking of this time in my life, I was also watching things like But I'm a Cheerleader. The representation within that meant something a lot to me. But maybe she never encountered it. Maybe never knew it existed. And this isn't like looking back at all of the media. It's the media that she specifically consumed at this specific time in her life. I think you could say that she is ascribing like some generalized things about all lesbians, but she's coming from a very specific white privileged perspective. And I don't think she's trying to encompass every cultural conversation, because how could she do that? Why would she do that? But it is kind of ignoring a lot of other queer experiences, especially in other parts of the world. But again, it's her memoir, so she's allowed to talk about whatever she wants to talk about and how it applied to her. I don't know if I can call it a 5 if I have to put an asterisk next to it saying, but I don't think this book is perfect. It's so confusing. Of course, my favorite moments were when she was talking about Cadet Kelly and the queer overtones, Motocrossed, that one too, even High School Musical, and just like how we got representation for what probably a lot of the audience was interpreting as queer characters, but it wasn't on screen queerness, and like just how that felt. I learned a lot about the L Word. I always assumed it was just like a fantastic show for lesbian representation, but in fact, it was actually pretty awful and like really messy, and not in a fun way for lesbians to watch, but it also had a great impact at the same time. So she didn't just talk about the media, she talked about her own personal journey. We learned people that she's dated and learning about her own sexuality and like how she felt like she had to perform straightness. She and I do not relate in like how we were raised. There's a lot of religious stuff in here. Well, as far as just how she felt kind of stifled in her environment and how so many young people don't even get the opportunity to learn about queerness early in life because so many adults are, and especially were, equating queerness with sex. And like the idea of introducing a child to something queer in their mind meant that they were talking about sex. Like homosexuality is inherently a sexual conversation. Meanwhile, heterosexuality isn't. It's like how I remember when I was shopping for baby clothes for Liam and I saw at the thrift store, there was this onesie I tweeted about it, 15 years ago, a onesie that said, "Hung like my dad." And I thought it was the craziest thing I'd ever seen. And I took it and I hid it in the thrift store because I was like, this is the craziest thing ever. So people will dress their children in these outfits. She mentioned something in here that made me think of that. I think it was a lady killer. Like people will call their son a lady killer or make so many jokes that do sexualize children. But it's okay because it's rooted in normality. It's rooted in straightness. You can talk about little girls and all of their boyfriends, but God forbid we teach children about queer identity. I liked how much she talked about gender expression just as much as sexuality. There was this whole conversation about being a tomboy and how that was okay, but as long as she wasn't a lesbian. She talked about all of these characters from TV that I grew up with, like Helga from Hey Arnold and Spinelli from Recess. And like, sure, maybe they are just tomboys, but also maybe these are representations of queer women for us in media. I thought this was great, perfectly nostalgic, and I'm really happy that I read it. I have had this slight little headache for 3 days straight. I can't get rid of it. And I was just sitting down to film a little update and I got the like emergency alert on my phone to make sure the, BC test alert thing works. I had it at full volume because the audiobook that I'm listening to was a little bit quiet for some reason. I think maybe because I have it through Everand and sometimes our audiobooks are really quiet and it just like blared so loudly in my face. Now my headache is like just on a whole different level. So when I'm reading, I wasn't fully committed to because this is a book that I was considering for the Literally Dead Book Club this year. This is The Library After Dark by Andy Pliego. I picked her book, You Are Fatally Invited, last year. It had a pretty mixed result. I gave it a 4-star and I figured I'll start this one. That's why I accepted the arc that was offered to me. And then I would test it out. If it started to go really well, I would stop reading it and pick it for the book club. I'm halfway through now and that hasn't happened. So I am going to complete it for this. My plan was if I stopped reading that, then I would end up moving on to this, which is certainly a more like obvious border. This one isn't what the book actually looks like. Like there's no white. That's just because this is the uncorrected proof. But like mine does have an extra border and it has a gold slight border around the edge. So I was just gonna read it physically and then I saw that the audiobook that just came out like today, Exie Sands is one of the narrators, which is interesting because I don't think at the halfway point I have encountered her. I feel like I would notice. I will say a lot of the narrators, like there's 2, 3, 4 female narrators, they all sound similar enough that I don't know how many there are. And then there's also like 3 or 4 male narrators. They just, I don't know if they, maybe I'm just not paying super close attention to their voices, I guess. I'm paying more close attention to who is speaking in each one, like this person's name, that's who's talking. And I'm focused on that, but I'm not really, I guess, even paying attention to the narrator. But okay, what this book is about is we have a group of characters who are going to this library for a private event, a tour. And we're following one character from the beginning who seems like the most main character of all of them. Her name's Aria, and she's going on a date with this guy she's been dating for a while, and he took her to this like surprise library event. He thought it was going to be more private than it is, and then a bunch of other people arrive, and they're all people who know, they have a connection to either the library, the person who recently died who owned the library, or like some type of family connection regarding the library. So she died under mysterious circumstances. It's this older woman, Evangeline. I think it was Evangeline. It's not in the synopsis, don't know why it would be. But this is like the third or fourth person who the library has been passed down to, or bought the library or whatever, who has died under mysterious circumstances. Each one of them probably took their own life. Like, that's what is suspected. And as we go through each person, we meet them all, you get an idea of what might have really happened to this woman. We have somebody who like used to work with her, work for her, a mentor, a mentee, the tour guide, just like random people we don't know how they're connected. They obviously have some type of like relation, and all of that gets uncovered throughout the pages. There's one main perspective that is grating to me, because it's that constant mystery character who's like, I'm hiding something. I hope nobody finds out that thing that I'm hiding. Oh my gosh, maybe that person knows that thing that I'm hiding. It's a library of rare books, and there's one specific book that is passed down, that is owned, of this like book of fairy tales, and we're getting little excerpts of that, and it's kind of informing what's happening in the story. Or I don't know, they'll just encounter things where they're like, oh, that painting looks like the story of Alyssa and the fox, and then we'll get a little tale. At first I was like, in this big library I would expect more bookish references, because, you know, when there's a book about books, the bookish people want to read about books, and there wasn't that many. But then we started getting quite a few little quotes, like from Dune, and a bunch of titles I've never actually heard of. Like, I don't know what the Ionide is. Maybe I should. I don't want to say this book has too many perspectives, because I think they do all matter, but it could easily get confusing. There have been moments where I'm in the middle of a chapter physically or audibly, where, because they're all written in first person, I'm like, whose perspective are we in again? Even though they're only a couple pages. Maybe because they're only a couple pages, it's easy to forget who you're reading from. Maybe that's just a me thing. I think You Were Fatally Invited had the same amount of characters, but because I was reading that as a book club pick, I was, you know, writing all of their names down and my theories and connecting all of these dots. And when I'm just reading for leisure, I'm not really thinking about that, because I'm not trying to build a discussion about this afterwards. I'm just along for the ride, and I'm having a fine enough time. And also, they are in danger. Did I even mention that? They're like locked in the library. The group learns there's a murderer in their midst. Yeah, maybe I'll film my reaction once I get to the last couple chapters, when things, I'm sure, are going to be revealed. Tough one to rate. I wasn't the most entertained, but it was a really well constructed mystery, and getting everyone to answer a different question was really interesting. It did have one of my least favorite mystery tropes, like, ever. So that takes it into a realm of the unbelievable to me, and not in the fun, goofy, wacky, over the top, suspend your disbelief way that I like, but in a way that there's an entire very lengthy chapter explaining so many things, and I just feel like that's kind of a lot. And even if you try to explain it, it still doesn't make the most sense to me. I also think the book could kind of get confusing for some people. You already find it confusing when you have multiple perspectives. There's moments where like an identity is revealed, but it's not really. So like somebody's like, oh, you must be this, you must be connected to this. And they're like, yes, I am. And then it turns out they're not. That's not a spoiler, because that happens like 3 times. And like everyone's lying or just withholding something from us or from another character. There's a lot of conversations. I would call this like a chiller. I saw that used as a genre recently, and I like it. It's like a thriller, but it's atmospheric, and the intent is to make you feel like the atmosphere is so good, and maybe it's haunted, and everyone kind of thinks it's haunted. This would be good for fans of Home Before Dark. I'm a fan of Home Before the Dark, and like the haunted house vibe, and constantly wondering, is it haunted? The people think maybe it's haunted. Is it ghosts? Is that the answer? And then also with Home Before Dark, like, there's an answer, and then just kidding, the answer goes further than that, and just kidding, that wasn't actually the answer, and it's this answer. Convoluted for sure, not in the most fun way, but I did like it. Like, objectively, I like it. But there were things I really didn't like. So how the heck do you rate that? I think I'm gonna give it a 3.5. Do you feel like it sounds like a 3.5? I think this would have gone fine as a book club pick. I think a lot of us would have given it the same rating we gave the first Andy Pliego we read. So that's it for me today. Thank you so much to the publisher for sending this to me. I completed 2 books in this Buzzword vlog, as I always do. Hung out with my mom, as I always do. Had a good time with you, as I always do. Let me know what you're reading for this month's challenge, and I will see you next time. Bye!